Hello students, welcome you all in the ninth class. So I'm your teacher Devendra Kumar. As you know, in the school, surely you've seen me. Uh, I'm the biology teacher in your school, and in the ninth class I'm going to teach you biology. Now up to 8th class you studied science, and when you come to the ninth class there is a division of science in 3 subjects: the physics, chemistry and biology. I think all of you know about this. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you about this thing, that science is divided into 3 portions. From the ninth class, 9th and 10th, the science is divided into 3 portions. The first portion is of chemistry. The second portion I written on the board. So it is a temporary board actually. So I just written on the board. Okay, now so chapter 1, 2, 3 and 4 of your NCERT book. Now we are going to follow the NCERT book in the 9th class. So from the chapter number 1 to the chapter number 4, from the chapter number 1, 2, 3, 4, it is the portion of chemistry which may be taught by the Sudarshan sir or the Ajay sir, the new teacher which came to our school. Then surely the next portion is chapter 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. These are of physics, and maybe it is taught by the Kamlesh sir. Now the chapter number, now what are the various chapters which are going to be taught by me? Now the chapter number 5, 6, 7, 13, 14 and 15. Now the chapter number 5 is the cell, fundamental unit of life. The chapter number 6 is the tissue. The chapter number 7 is the diversity in the living organism. Chapter number 13, why do we fall ill? 4th, natural resources, and 15th, improvement in the food resources. So these chapters 5, 6, 7, 13, 14 and 15 are the portion of biology which are going to be taught by me. So you all know that there is a disease COVID-19 which is spread and which makes an havoc in our country, in the world actually. So so we don't want to waste your time. So we started teaching you online. So this is the first chapter. This is the first chapter, cell, fundamental unit of life, which we are going to start today. So again, I am welcoming you all in the 9th class, and I'm going to continue this video by starting this chapter number 5, the cell, fundamental unit of life. Now, as we all know, we all know about the cell. We all know about the cell from the previous classes. We know about the cell. Now, if somebody asks you what is the cell, now what would be your answer? May your answer vary. But the proper definition for the cell is the fundamental unit of life. I am giving you one example. For example, let us say a very big building. Now, building is made up of very small units which are known to be as bricks. I think all of you know. The building which is made up of very smaller units called bricks. So many different bricks combine together and form a bigger building. On the same case we can say the cells, the organism's body comprises of the very smaller unit which are known to be as cells, and cells are the basic unit of life. If the cell is not there, the organism is not there. Cell performs all the basic function. Now why it is called the fundamental unit of life? Because it performs all the functions which the body needs. So we are going to study how the cell is going to perform, what are the different functions performed by the cells and various types of cells, the various types of the aspects of cells. But right now I am going to tell you the cell is the fundamental unit of life. That means it is the smallest portion of the organism. It is the smallest portion which works for the whole organism. Now we can actually we can compare with the brick I told you previously in this video. So cell is the fundamental unit of life. Cell is the fundamental of unit of life. That is the chapter number 5. That is the chapter number 5 of your NCERT book. So cell is the fundamental unit of life. That is the chapter number 5 of your NCERT book. Now, the discovery of the cell. How the cell is discovered. Now, the cell is discovered by a scientist known as Robert Hooke. Cell is discovered by a scientist known as Robert Hooke in 1665. Very long back. So in 1665, the Robert Hooke is discovered the cell. Now in your NCERT book, the question is there, who discovered cell and how? So Robert Hooke discovered the cell in 1665. Now the question comes, how he discovers the cell? How the discovery of the cell is there? Now Robert Hooke took a piece of cork. Cork is a wooden, you can say it is a wood. It is a part of a plant. It is a part of a tree, not a plant. It's part of a tree, bark of a tree, or stem of the tree. You can say, not bark, the stem of the tree. So cork is a portion of the stem of a bigger tree, and Robert Hooke took the small portion, small slice of the cork. Very small slice of the cork. Who taken? The Robert. So Robert Hooke taken the small slice of the cork, and he observed those slice in the microscope. Now microscope is an instrument which we are going to see, which we are using to see very minute, very smaller objects. So I think there is a microscope. We have by microscope in our labs, and surely when the school reopens, surely we are going to visit the lab and we are going to see the various things under the microscope. We observe various things in the microscope. So the Robert Hooke discovered the cell. What he done? He taken a thin slice of cork. Cork is a wooden portion of a tree. Now he observed that slice under the microscope. In the microscope, what he seen? He seen very small honeycomb-like structure. Honeycomb is the अगर हम बोले तो it is मधुमक्खी का छत्ता. So I think all of you seen the comb, the hive of the honeybee. So in honeybee comb, there is a very smaller room-like structures are there. Very smaller room-like structures are there. Now Robert Hooke found this type of structure under the microscope. Now these are called little rooms. These are seen as little rooms. These were like little rooms, very little rooms. And in the Latin is an old Greek language. So in the Latin, the cell means little rooms. So he only coined the word cells. Cells means the little rooms. So he discovered the cell. Who? The Robert Hooke. How he discovered the cell? He take this thin slice of cork. He observed that cork under the microscope. He found honeycomb-like structures, which appears like little rooms, very little rooms, and he named these little rooms cells. So this is the first question. This is the first assignment question. Who discovered cell and how? So I think all of you got this thing. So this is the introduction part. This is the discovery of the cell. Now there are various other scientists also which involved in the in the discovery of the cell and discovery of the parts of the various cells and all. So we are going to see right now. In your book, in your NCERT book, in the first page itself, the cell, the unit of life, in this chapter's first page itself, there is a diagram below. Down there is a diagram, and that diagram is of onion peel. Now, onion peel, we are going to peel the onion, and that peeling we are going to observe under the microscope after staining it. Staining means to color the objects, to color the biological objects. That is what called the staining. So after staining, we are going to see under the microscope, and we found various different type of cells. So you just go through when I am teaching you, when you are listening to me, when you are watching this video, please take the NCERT book. Please take the NCERT book along with you. That is how you are going to study. Now the next portion of your NCERT book is a yellow. Next page, yellow color lining is there. So I'm going to talk about the little bit the scientist name and the discoveries which is done by them. Now all of you know that Robert Hooke. Right now I told you. Robert Hooke in 1665, what he discovered? He discovered the cell. But what he seen? The cork is the dead cell. So somebody asks you if this cell is living or dead. The answer is dead. So he observed the dead cell. But the another scientist named Leeuwenhoek, Leeuwenhoek. I think in 1674, he observed the first living cell. He observed the first living cell. Who? The Leeuwenhoek. Now what I am writing, that is given in your NCERT book. The second page, the yellow color page, the yellow color portion. More to know. Now the next is Purkinje. The next is Robert Brown. The next is Robert Brown, and Robert Brown discovers the nucleus. And the year is 1831. Next, in 1839, another named scientist, Purkinje. Purkinje in 1839, he discovered the protoplasm. I am going to tell you later what is protoplasm. It is the fluid inside the cell. It is the fluid between the cell wall and the nucleus. I am going to tell you later. So in 1839, he discovers the protoplasm. The next is very important. Sheldon and Swan. The two scientists. Sheldon and Swan. They discovered the cell theory. Now what is cell theory? What is cell theory? Now, according to the cell theory, according to the Sheldon and Swan, all the living organisms, whether they are plants or whether they are animals, there are many others also, but what they shown, all the plants and animals are made up of cells. All the plants and animals are made up of cell, and cell is the basic unit of life. Who told you this thing? Sheldon and Swan. So Sheldon and Swan given the cell theory, and according to this theory, all plants and animals are composed of cells, and cell is the basic unit of So another scientist, Virchow. Another scientist, Virchow. Okay. He modified the cell theory. He modified the cell theory. He modified the cell theory. He add one line to the cell theory, that cell theory is existed, but he only adds one line. What that line is very, very important. All the cells which are existing came from the pre-existing cells. जितने भी cells अभी exist कर रहे हैं, वो सारे के सारे cells जो बने हैं वो pre-existing cells, मतलब पुराने सेलों से बने हुए हैं. ये किसने बोला? ये वर्चुआ ने बोला. तो उसने शेल्डन और स्वैन की थ्योरी को क्या कर दिया? मॉडिफाई कर दिया. और मॉडिफाई करने के बाद इन्होंने एक नया कॉन्सेप्ट दे दिया. क्या दिया? उन्होंने बोला कि दिस सेल थ्योरी, the existing cells, all the existing cells came from the pre-existing cells. So this is given by Virchow. Now this you have to remember. It is very, very important. Many times it is asked in the examination. I am going to ask you in this examination that who discovered the what and how discovered. Now this is done in 1855. This is done in 1855, and the above this thing, 1838 and 39. This thing. Now, when we talk about the organism, the organism may be unicellular or multicellular. Now, unicellular and multicellular, that you studied in the 8th class. The type of the organism may be unicellular or multicellular. What the unicellular means? Unicellular means the single-celled organism. Unicellular means the single-celled organism. The organisms which are made by only one type of cell. For example, the amoeba. For example, paramecium. For example, yeast. These are all unicellular. So unicellular organisms are made up of only one type of cell, or only not type actually, only one cell. The whole cell is an organism. So amoeba, paramecium, yeast. These are the best examples. These are the best example of unicellular organ. But when we talk about the multicellular, there are many. All plants, all animals, they are all multicellular. We the humans, we the animals, we are also animals. We are multicellular. This means that we are made up of very different types of cells. So, sir, why there is a need for various types of cells? So, in an organism, the various types of cells are because for the division of labor. Now, what is division of labor? Now, when you see yourself, our body is having different organs, and our different organs are having different functions. For example, my brain is doing the different function, my heart is doing the different function, my kidneys are doing the different function, my hands are doing the different function. And if I want that my kidney does the function of my brain, is it possible? No. It is not possible. Now my mouth functions like my stomach. My stomach functions like my heart. Is it possible? No. So there is a clear-cut division. There is a clear-cut division of the different types of cells. So to divide, actually we are very much complex. These unicellular organisms are very simple. They are made up of only one type of cell. We are having different types of we are having very different types of cells, and all cells were performing different functions. the different labor they are doing, the different functions they are performing for us, because our needs were very much different. So this is what it is there in your NCERT. So division of labor. You just remember the division of labor. Now we are coming to the cell. And I'm just going to. I'm very much stick to your NCERT book. So whatever I am teaching you right in this video, it is totally the NCERT book. Now the next portion we are coming, that is the cell. Now how the cell looks like. To us. Now when we see the cells in the under the microscope, how the cells were looking, how the cells are there. Now I think all of you seen there is a cell wall. Now when you observe this cell under the microscope, the outer curve plant cell, I am talking about the plant cell. So when the animal cell does not have cell wall, we are going to come. I'm going to come on that. But general cell, the general typical cell I am talking about. So the outermost covering is known to be as the cell wall. The outermost tough covering is known to be as the cell wall. The inner covering, inside that there is a membrane which is double layered. We are going to study detail this membrane. Now the inner membrane is known to be as plasma membrane. So this membrane is known to be as plasma membrane. Now inside the nucleus, there is a structure which is known to be as nucleus. I think all of you seen this type of diagram in your 8th class. Now this is what called the nucleus. This is the nuclear membrane. And inside, between the plasma membrane and the nucleus, there is a fluid. Which is known to be as cytoplasm. And cytoplasm contains various different types of cell organelles. The cytoplasm contains various different types of cell organelles. So this is the simplest diagram which I can make for you for the cell. It is the simplest diagram. I am going to tell you about the various different parts. We are going to study these parts in detail. So the plant and the animal cell, the difference is the cell wall. The plant cell does not have plant cell has cell wall. Animal cell does not have a cell wall in it. Now, so I'm just reminding and just telling you this thing. Now the first line, the outer line is known to be as the cell wall. Inside the cell wall there is a membrane. There is a membrane which is known to be as the plasma membrane. Now inside the plasma membrane and between the nucleus there is a portion which is known to be as the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm contains the cell organelles. It contains the cell organelles which we are going to study in detail in the later part of the video. Then this is the nucleus. Inside the nucleus there is a genetic material, the DNA and so many are there. No, sorry, not so many. The DNA is there, the RNA is there. I'm going to talk about later the DNA and the RNA later. So inside the nucleic acid is there, the nuclear material is there. So this is the overview of the cell. Now there are various types of cells, there are various kinds of cells, there are various the structural different cells are there. Now first we are not going to study the cell wall. In your NCERT book, the plasma membrane is there. So first we are going to talk about the plasma membrane. First we are going to talk about the plasma membrane in detail. Not that much detail, which is in the higher classes, but we are going to see. Now when we talk about the plasma membrane, plasma membrane is the outermost covering of the animal cell. Animal cell, not the plant. Animal cell. So plasma membrane is the outermost covering. It is the outermost covering of the animal cell. So animal cell is there in the surrounding with this plasma membrane. Animal cell is there in the surrounding with this plasma membrane because there is no outer covering. Now the plasma membrane is semi-permeable in nature. Now this is important. Plasma membrane is semi-permeable membrane. Plasma membrane is known to be a semi-permeable membrane, known as semi-permeable membrane. Or actually it is not known as, but it is said to be. The plasma membrane is said to be the semi-permeable membrane. Now, what is semi-permeable membrane? I am going to tell you. Now, before that semi-permeable nature, I am going to talk about the diffusion. Now, the diffusion. Now, diffusion is a process in nature. Diffusion is a process in nature in which the movement of particle is there from the higher concentration to lower concentration. The movement of particle from the higher concentration to lower concentration. Now, what does that mean? Now, to explain this diffusion, I am giving you one very simple example. Now, in a corner, in any room, for example, let us suppose this is a room, and in this corner of a room, if somebody lightens the incense stick, agarbatti kisi ne jala di. If somebody lightens an incense stick in one corner of the room, then what would happen? The fragrance slowly the fragrance moves to the other portion of the room. Slowly the fragrance moves or fragrance spread to the other portion of the room. So what is the concentration? It is the amount of substance. Concentration is the amount of substance. So the concentration of fragrance particles is more here. The concentration of fragrance particle is more here, and slowly the fragrance particle moves to a concentration of lesser or the region where the concentration is very less. This process is known to be as diffusion. Now, what happens when somebody sprays the perfume or the deodorant in the one corner of the room? Slowly you get the smell, fragrance. You get the fragrance to the other part of the room also. And what is the process? The same process. The process is diffusion. Now, this diffusion process plays a very, very important role in the exchange of gases. Now, our cells. Now, for example, let us say this is my cell. Now, this is our cell. This is cell. Cell requires oxygen to perform its to perform its work, to gain energy. The cell requires oxygen, and the CO2, the carbon dioxide, is generated as a waste and it has to be removed out. So that is what called the exchange of gases. Now nearby this cell, so many capillaries are there. Capillaries is the smaller blood vessels. Capillaries, small blood vessels. These are the smaller blood vessels, very thin blood vessels in which the blood flows. And blood carries the oxygen to the various cells and removes the carbon dioxide from those cells. Now, the concentration of oxygen is more inside these capillaries, and the amount of carbon dioxide, the concentration of the carbon dioxide is very less in this capillary. So what would happen? Surely the oxygen moves from higher concentration to lower concentration, that means from the capillaries to the tissues or the cells, and the carbon dioxide concentration is more inside the cell. So what would happen? This carbon dioxide moves to the capillaries, and from the capillaries it goes to the veins, and from the veins it goes to the heart from the lungs, and from the lungs it passes out. So the exchange of gases also follows this phenomenon. What the phenomenon is? The diffusion. So diffusion is a phenomenon. It is a process. Which is also involved in the exchange of gases, the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. You just go through your NCERT book, the plasma membrane region, the third or the second paragraph or the third paragraph, it is written there. Now, one more thing. What is semi-permeable in nature? What does it mean? I told you that. Why I talked about the diffusion? Because we are going to talk about the osmosis also, and we are going to talk about this diffusion is the basic process. It is a basic phenomenon which is occurring in the bodies, in the various type of cells, or you can say in the bodies of the various types of organisms, for the exchange of material. The material from the higher concentration goes to the lower concentration. So diffusion, that is why we talked about diffusion here. Now, the next thing I am going to tell you is what is semi-permeable in nature. Now, when you make tea in your home, जब आप अपने घरों में चाय बनाते हैं और जब आप चाय को छानते हैं, तो क्या ऐसा होता है कि जब आप छन्नी से, स्ट्रेनर से चाय को जब छान रहे हैं तो पूरी की पूरी चाय जो है वो कप में आ जाती है? नहीं, चाय पत्ती जो है वो कहाँ रह जाती है? छन्नी में रह जाती है, और जो चाय जो हम पीना चाहते हैं वो कहाँ जाती है? कप में जाती है. So what the role of this strainer is? What is the role of this channe is? It prevents it stops the flow of the tea particles. So this is what called the semi-permeable nature, allowing something and disallowing someone. किसी को allow करना और किसी को allow नहीं करना. So the plasma membrane is called semi-permeable membrane because it allows only certain types of particles to pass through it. I am repeating. The plasma membrane is called the semi-permeable membrane because it allows only certain type of particles to pass through it. It won't allow every particles to pass through it. The things which is needed by the cell, surely the plasma membrane is going to allow those things from outside to inside, and the waste which is generated inside the cell surely can be expelled from this cell through the plasma membrane. So whatever the things were needed, it is allowed by the plasma membrane. So why the plasma membrane is called the semi-permeable membrane? Because it allows only certain type of particles to pass through it. Now very important portion. Now very important thing which we are going to talk about, which we are going to talk right now. the thing is, okay, just I went for drinking the water. Now the next thing which we are going to talk about is the osmosis. Now that is a part. This is a part of plasma membrane. Osmosis. Now it is a type of diffusion. It is also a type of diffusion. Now before we talk about the osmosis, I am going to talk about the solute and solvent. I am going to give you the information about what is solute and what is solvent. Now I'm just giving you an example. Now when we take a glass of water, let us suppose the glass of water. When we took the glass of water and we add a pinch of salt, or a teaspoon or a tablespoon of salt, okay. So we dissolve salt in this glass of water. We are dissolving salt in this glass of water. Now here the water is acting as a solvent. The water is acting as a solvent and this salt is acting as a solute. The salt is acting as a solute. So we are dissolving the solute in solvent. So the thing which is going to be dissolved is solute. And the thing in which the solute is dissolved is known to be as the solvent. Now these two words often come in your science. So I'm just giving you one information. See? Now, so we are coming to the osmosis. So how we define the osmosis? Now let me tell you one. Now let us say this is a box, and this box is separated by a semi-permeable membrane. There are two chambers. A and B. There are two chambers A and B, and these two chambers are separated by semi-permeable membrane. Now I told you that semi-permeable membrane allows only certain particles to pass through it. Here the semi-permeable membrane allows only solvent to pass through it. Semi-permeable membrane here allows only the solvent to pass through it. Now, the concentration of solvent concentration is more here, and here the solvent concentration is less. So if the solvent concentration is less, obviously the solute concentration becomes more. Here the solute concentration is less. So I think you understood this setup. Now there are two chambers. There is a one box in which the two chambers are there. There is a solution inside it. There is also a solution inside it. But in this solution, the solvent concentration is more. Solvent is more. But if the solvent is more, obviously the solute is less. Here the solvent is less, but the solute is more. So where the movement of solvent is there. Now let us suppose the solvent is water. Let us suppose in this A and B the solvent is water. So where the movement of solvent is there, where the movement of water is there. So higher concentration to lower concentration. So where the higher concentration, the solvent higher concentration is more here. So the solvent is moved from here to here through semi-permeable membrane. So what the semi-permeable membrane is doing here? It is avoiding the solute particles to go in the chamber B. I think you understood. Now, so this is the osmosis. Now, if somebody wants you to define the osmosis, what the definition is? So, osmosis is a type of diffusion in which the movement of particles, the movement of solvent is there from the higher concentration to lower concentration, very important, through semi-permeable membrane. Movement of solvent from the higher concentration to lower concentration through the semi-permeable membrane is known to be as osmosis. So osmosis is also a type of diffusion. Now I'm going to end this video here. In the next video we are going to see this osmosis, the various different type of solution according to the osmosis, the hypertonic, isotonic solution that we are going to see in the next video. And in the third video we are going to see the cell wall and the nucleus, and the fourth video we are going to see the cell organelles. So in this chapter I am going to complete in the 4 video. If you want more videos of mine, you have to subscribe my channel. So I made the YouTube channel for you people only. So please subscribe my channel so that you can get the other videos also. Surely I'm going to make the videos for the whole science book. So if you like my teaching, you please subscribe it, and please go through the other videos also. So in the next video we are going to see the other aspects of osmosis, and we are also going to see the other things and of the chapter, that is the cell. Okay, again welcome you all in the 9th class. Hope you study well in the 9th class, and if you have any doubt and all, you can please ask me. Don't hesitate to asking the doubt. Okay, we'll meet you in the next video. Thank you.